Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing my August wrap up. So today is September 1st, Labor Day. A lot of people are off work. I'm currently hosting margarita sprints with Jess and Robin, and I have already had a Cutwater margarita. I couldn't get any more Cutwater, so I am now going to open my On the Rocks. I've never had this before. Jess got these in cans and she said they're pretty good, so hopefully I like them. But we're gonna do a little bit of a tipsy wrap up. Ignore that, but yeah, that's what we're doing today. So is this a good idea? Probably not, but hey. I don't have like proper margarita glasses or anything. I'm just gonna use a little wine glass. This is my smallest wine glass, which is probably for the best. So this is what I'm not going to fill it all the way up, but we'll leave it there. I like it, it's good. Okay. As per usual, we'll start with monthly stats. I'm gonna be looking off to the side because I have my iPad here with my reading spreadsheet pulled up. So in September, no, not September, it's September 1st. In August, I read 10 books. One of them was a reread. I had one DNF. I read 1,465 pages and listened to 44 hours of audio. 5 of the books that I read were fantasy, 2 were mystery, and 3 were romance. 4 of the books I listened to on audio, 4 books I read digitally, and 2 books I read physically. That is definitely an improvement. I feel like I've only started to read physically last month, so glad to be getting back into that, I guess. 5 of the books that I read were adult, 3 were middle grade, and then the rest were spy family, and I don't really know where to classify those, so I don't usually mark age category for those because I don't really know where they fit. If you have thoughts on that or an answer, definitely let me know. My ratings for August included 1 2.5 star, 2 4 stars, 2 4.25 stars, 2 4.5 stars, 2 4.75 stars, and 1 5 star. 7 of the books that I read were novels, 1 was a novella, and 2 were manga. And of the 6 authors that I read for the first time in 2025, 2 of them were completely new to me and 4 of them were repeats. So the first book that I read in August was a buddy read with Robin. Robin and I typically have a monthly buddy read. However, this is our first actual buddy read. Well, technically our second, although she DNF'd the first one and I ended up finishing it but DNFing the series. So our first successful buddy read of 2025, and that was Not a Happy Family by Shari LaPena. Shari LaPena is a mystery thriller author that Robin and I both really enjoy, and so I think all of the things that I've read by her so far, which has been 3 or 4 books, I have read with Robin. This one I rated 4 stars. In this one we're following, I want to say 5 members of this family. There are 2 parents and 3 children, and the morning after Easter the parents are discovered brutally murdered, and so we follow the investigation from there. There are a lot of family secrets. There's just a lot happening. It's a very dysfunctional family. If you've ever read anything by Shari LaPena, it is very on brand with a dysfunctional family and just like rich people nonsense, kind of is the best way that I think I can describe it. But anyway, this was enjoyable. Robin and I both enjoyed it. Definitely will be reading more from her catalog. If you are a fan of mystery thrillers that have like that sort of dysfunctional family vibe or just like a lot of drama and mess, then I would definitely recommend. The next book that I read was Firestar's Quest. This is one of the Warriors Super Editions. So if you have been here for a while, you know that I have been reading the Warriors series thanks to Ashley from Realm of Kidlit Comics, and I'm really enjoying it. This is a middle grade series about rival cat clans. That's sort of like the best way to give an overview of the series. So in this one, it's the first super edition, which is much longer than the regular books. This one, I think if you had a physical copy, it's like over 500 pages. And even the audiobook was much longer. It's like 13 hours, but it focuses on a specific cat and sort of it was a specific time period in his life rather than like his whole life story or anything. But what I've learned so far is that the super editions can sort of vary in what they're about. They might be about a specific cat at a specific time, or you could be getting their whole life story. But in this one, it is a very specific mission that Firestar is going on. Firestar is the main character in the first arc of the Warrior series. So if you read, the series is called The Prophecies Begin. That is about Firestar when he is a kid. So really enjoyed it. I rated this one 4 stars also, and would definitely recommend if you are a fan of middle grade, if you're a fan of like talking animals, definitely recommend. It's a really fun series, and Ashley and I are both having a really good time. Although I realized recently how many books are in this world, and I was like, we're gonna be reading this forever, and she was like, yeah. She seems fine with it. I didn't realize this is what I was signing up for, but I'm along for the ride at this point. Next, I reread The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. This was my favorite book of 2024. It is a romance between an astronaut and an event planner. It's actually fake dating. She runs into Vincent, an astronaut, at a coffee shop, and her ex happens to be there. And so he's like, well, are you seeing anyone? And she was like, yeah, actually I am. And she pulls Vincent over, and he has to pretend to be her boyfriend. And then they decide to continue this agreement because Vincent's sister is there, and he's also been telling his family that he's been seeing someone. So now they are just in this mess, and they just have to work through it together. I love this book. I love Vincent. He is one of my favorite book boyfriends. He's so sweet, and I love him. This is forced proximity, only one bed. They go on a trip with Vincent's family and are forced to act like a real couple. Definitely recommend if you haven't read this one already. I do have a review of it, so I'll have that link in the cards and the description for you. I unfortunately did not enjoy the sequel, The Love Simulation. I ended up DNFing it, but I would still read from this author. Whatever her next release is, I will definitely pick it up, but highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it, and it's really cute. It's so sweet. I love it. Then I had an arc of Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. This is a story about a retired serial killer who ends up having to kill again when someone shows up on her doorstep asking questions about her past. Basically, she was wrongfully accused of killing 3 people. She was never charged because they didn't have any evidence, and so she changes her name, she moves, and she is living a quiet little life in this little town. And one day a podcaster knocks on her door and is like, I want to do a docuseries about people who have been wrongfully accused. And she's like, absolutely not. I will not have anybody digging into my life. And things sort of spiral out of control. I had an arc of this. I don't remember the release date, but I'll put it on the screen for you if you're interested. I personally didn't love it. I rated it 2.5 stars. And I just feel like while it started off really well, and it's interesting to sort of have this serial killer reflect on the people that she has killed and why and how it happened and how she got started, that with the commentary about growing older and getting into old age and being at a point where our main character is deciding, should she live closer to her son so that she can see her grandchildren more? Should she move into an assisted living facility and things like that? Like, honestly, after like the first, I would say 15%, I got bored. And I pushed through it only because I have DNF'd so many arcs this year and I didn't want to DNF another. But unfortunately, I don't think that it was worth the read. Like, honestly, the middle was very boring. There were things that were happening that I guess would have been like good plot twists, but like really I was just kind of like, okay. I don't know. It just didn't really stick with me. This is my second book by Samantha Downing, and I didn't really love the other one that I read by her either. Her endings are not satisfying to me, and so I think that maybe she's just an author that does not work for me. But if a retired serial killer coming out of retirement sounds interesting to you, go ahead and give it a try. Next is the first book in the second arc of the Warrior series, which is Midnight, and the second arc is called The New Prophecy, I think. So as I mentioned before, I didn't realize how expansive this world was, right? So I finally watched a video that Ashley referenced talking about the reading order of Warriors, and I fucked up. I went out of order. Granted, there are like required reads, recommended reads, and like optional. It's so detailed. But me being me, I'm gonna go all in, right? So I started the second arc, which is about a cat that we were introduced to in the first one. And so I was like, oh, this will be interesting to see like what his story is and like where he goes, right? I read the first book, Midnight, and rated it 4.25 stars. There was a character in there that I very specifically was getting super fucking annoyed with. And honestly, like, I feel like this character is so annoying to the point where I was kind of like, maybe I'm gonna take a break from Warriors. But then I got to the end of this book and I was like, I gotta keep going. The ending reeled me in. However, I didn't realize that there was another super edition that I should read before that, and that there are some optional novellas. I didn't even know that this series had novellas, okay? So I read that, I enjoyed it. I will be continuing the second arc, but then I had to go back and read the second super edition, which is Blue Star's Prophecy. And so Blue Star is the leader of ThunderClan when we start that first arc of Warriors. And in this book, it's one of the longer ones. It's like 500 pages. We get her entire life story. Like, we see her from like when she's a kid until she becomes, I don't think we see her become clan leader, but we do see her become clan deputy. I really enjoyed getting like her full life story. There's a prophecy that is specifically related to her, and it makes so much sense. Like, it's just like connecting a few extra little dots here and there, and I do really enjoy that. But I rated that one 4.75 stars. Really enjoyed it, glad I read it. And so before I continue the second arc with all the books that follow Midnight, there are, I think, 3 or 4 novellas that are like optional reading before getting into the second arc. I do think that I want to dive into those, so I'm hoping to do that in September. Then I read volume 4 of Spy Family. I recently got volumes 4 through 6 in physical copies from Barnes & Noble. If you watch my book haul, I talked about it in there. But in this one, Anya wants a dog as a reward for her getting a Stella Star. And so we sort of follow the Forgers as their lives are constantly in chaos, honestly. There's like a bunch of stuff happening with Twilight's mission. Anya, because she's telepathic, is like trying to help out as best she can, but she's a literal child. And Yor is just trying to be a good wife and mother while keeping her profession hidden from her family. The situation with the dogs was also really interesting. If you're unfamiliar with the series, it is about a spy named Twilight who has a very specific mission where he needs to get close to someone, but in order to do so, he has to have a family, and so he adopts a little girl. And Anya, the little girl that he's adopted, is telepathic, so she can read minds, and so she knows that her adoptive father is a spy. He doesn't know that she's a telepath though. And then his wife just so happens to be an assassin, and it's just constant chaos all the time. I love this series. I rated this book 5 stars. I also read volume 5. This one I rated 4.5 stars. I don't like Yor's brother, so anytime that he's involved, I kind of just don't care. It's just weird to me the way that he is obsessed with his sister, and it bothers me, but I am enjoying it. I have started volume 6. I do have physical copies up to volume 6, but I also have been able to get them through my library to read digitally, so I'll probably read the rest of the series digitally before I buy physical copies. But if you are a fan of manga, if you want to get into manga, this is honestly my first manga series. I would definitely recommend this as a starting point because it's a very good one to start with. Then I read His Majesty by Sean. This was recommended to me by Heather from He Booktubes. This is the first in a novella series, and it is a second chance romance. Josiah and Majesty were together for like 3 years, and then they broke up. And 6 months later, they run into each other, and Josiah is determined to win her back. The first time they see each other after breaking up, also, she's on a date with somebody else, and he's not happy about that. It's a billionaire romance, if that's something that you're a fan of, as well as second chance. And it's sort of him coming to terms with, just because you think that you are providing your partner with something doesn't mean that you are providing them with everything that they need. And so while he was providing for her financially, there were other things in the relationship that he was not giving and that she wasn't willing to settle on, and so she left. And so it's them coming back together after all this time, him sort of learning to really pay attention to what it is that she needs and to make sure that he's providing that. And I actually really enjoyed it. I rated it 4.5 stars. I definitely want to continue the series. Then I read The Last Sad Love Song by Kimberly Brown. This was a recommendation from my friend Taylor, and I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4.25 stars. It is about a woman who has dealt with some relationship troubles, and she's trying to move on from that. She is a bakery owner, and her best friend is engaged. Her best friend's fiance owns like a rec center and is putting on this like speed dating event, and so she agrees to do like a photo shoot for it. And in the photo shoot, she is paired with the best friend's fiance's brother, and there is an immediate spark between the two of them. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this story. It's very cute, it's very sweet, and it kind of shows like when someone is heartbroken and trying to recover and trying to move on with their life and trying to sort of reestablish their faith in romance and everything. Then you also have someone who's very intentional about dating and is showing her that this doesn't have to be complicated. I am interested in you, you are interested in me, I'm willing to put in time, and this is what that looks like. And so it's very cute, it's very sweet. I loved it so much more than I was expecting to. And I have seen that Kimberly Brown has quite a backlist, so I definitely want to read more by her. But if you are interested, if this sounds interesting, where someone's sort of coming off of heartbreak and then finds the love of their life, and like there's no bullshit, there's no unnecessary miscommunication, there's no third act breakup, and I love that. So I really enjoyed this and definitely want to read more by her. Then I ended up DNFing 1201 by Bella J. This is described as a delusional enemies to lovers romance where our female main character ends up with her ex-boyfriend's twin brother. Listen, her ex cheated on her. It was like a huge thing, and then the twin brother swoops in, and fine, I can look past a few things here. My problem is that we get to the point where things like are about to start happening between them, and I was only like 40% into the book. Frankly, I do not believe that this book needed to be as long as it was. Otherwise, the characters, cool. I was buying into their story. I could feel the chemistry between the two of them, even though the male main character was kind of pissing me off because they had kind of had a history before she ended up dating the twin brother and didn't realize that they were their fraternal twins. So I guess, I don't know, maybe she didn't realize why he looked so familiar. Even looking past a few of those things, like what more could we possibly have happen? Why am I not even halfway into this book? Frankly, it was just too long for me and I just didn't care enough, so I DNF'd. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I actually like the writing style. I would definitely pick up something else by Bella J. This one was just too long and I didn't really see where we were going and I didn't care enough. That was everything that I read in August. As far as September, I haven't really been setting TBRs for the past few months. However, I do want to read volume 6 of Spy Family. I do have a physical copy and I did start it. This one I feel like is gonna irritate me because the other spy, what's her name, Nightfall, she's already getting on my nerves. I feel like she needs to be eliminated because you're getting in the way, right? On top of that, Robin and I will be buddy reading Granny's Got a Gun, which is a recommendation that we got from Olivia at Olivia Reads a Latte. Other than that, I might read some of the Warriors novellas before I continue in that second arc. I do really want to read The Survivor Wants to Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which is the third book in his Deathcast series. It just depends on timing and when I get to it. So those are some possibilities for next month, but we'll see what happens. That is everything that I read in August. Let me know if you've read any of these or if they are on your TBR. If you happen to tune into Sprints today with Robin and Jess, congratulations. I'm 90% sure that this live will get privated, so if you weren't there, it didn't happen. But otherwise, that is all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.